2022 was supposed to be a year of new beginnings for my family, but little did I know that the Lord also planned an earthly ending for a life rich and fulfilled. But as I recount my memories of this passing, my sorrow is tempered with joy. Life and death have never been so close to my heart as they have been these past few weeks. My son, Xavier Benjamin Uy, was born after several days of difficult labor in a distant hospital and an unfamiliar city. He had come a week earlier than we'd anticipated. But this challenging path would see me holding a baby boy in my arms, talking to my beloved grandfather across the Pacific as I showed him his new great-grandson. I can still see him in my mind's eye. Still at home and in the peak of health, he looked so proud. I never would have imagined that it would be the first and only time that my Angkong and Xavier would ever see each other. Only a week later, my grandfather would, after 3 days in a hospital, go to meet his creator. If you knew my grandfather, you'd already know that he was an incredibly gracious and patient gentleman. Even with 1 foot in the valley of death,
My name is Roger Uy. I'm the son of Valentin Uy. Valentine's Day, February 14, would have been Daddy's 98th birthday. However, we shall not get to hear the happy birthday songs and the busy morning of visits from relatives and well-wishers on that day, and I expect a certain sadness. Nevertheless, we shall try our best to draw upon our memories and celebrate his life. Daddy's life to me was one of contentment and gratitude. Despite the fact that he and his siblings were not raised in material abundance, but had to work hard to gain a little success, his attitude towards wealth was not of hoarding or grabbing for more. He enjoyed money and the convenience of having it, but money was never his all-consuming goal, nor did he consider riches a means to dominance. Instead, he used money to support the church and the Christian ministry and charitable endeavors. Because Valentin Uy was a meek and humble man, he was so gracious and peaceful. He abhorred aggression and was always willing to give way to others. He also did not seek the limelight. It was okay for others to be lead star. For him to be in the supporting role is fine. I believe this is one reason for his long life. He took care of himself not only physically but emotionally and mentally. Despite his being busy in business, he had time for his hobbies and sports. He enjoyed golf, music, and singing. My father had a happy disposition. He was fun to be with because his joy was contagious and inspiring. To the employees in our company, Dad was like a father. He was always courteous and respectful to everyone, and many who worked with us always remember how Mr. Guan, as they fondly called him, treated them with dignity. Valentin Uy to me is both an aspiration and a challenge, a very difficult act to follow. I have seen what kind of husband he was to my mom and what kind of father he was to my sisters, and I experienced firsthand his brand of fatherhood. Papa, you are the patriarch that God has gifted me as example. You have shown me much love and support that I could not find any plausible excuse for failure. While I am very grateful to God for 98 years of your life, I now face a vacuum which I honestly do not know how to fill. Someday, you and I will have our grand reunion. When the time comes, I hope I can look you in the eyes and say, I have become the man that you showed me to be. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Rodney, and I am one of Angkong's grandchildren. What I will miss the most is not being able to have our special Sunday lunch out with Angkong. It was during those simple times that I can see his personality and character shine through in so many ways. Angkong is a very patient man. When we used to be able to eat out in restaurants, one thing that is always consistent is that we all arrive on time except for my mom, who always comes in fashionably late. Even if we are all hungry already, Angkong will never touch the food and would always wait for everyone to be settled before he eats. He really values the importance of a good family relationship, because I would remember times during those lunches, me or my siblings would have arguments with my parents, whether it be something petty or a serious matter. If Angkong was there, he would immediately interject and quote the Bible by saying, "Mtang wangke, you should honor your mother and father." Angkong is a very sweet and romantic person. When we eat in Chirubori, which I think is Angkong's favorite Japanese restaurant, he would always order the same sushi bento box from the menu that he and Amma would share together with their usual green tea on the side. Then he would always look into Amma's eyes, sing to her, and tell us how beautiful and lovely Amma is, telling us of stories of how he courted Amma in the past by sending her love letters in Mandarin. In a way, it made me see what having a good and loving, long-lasting relationship is like, and something to always aspire for. Outside of our family lunches, when I would visit Angkong, I would usually find him in his office at home, well, playing solitaire on his iPad. Then one day, that app suddenly disappeared. Normally, we would just download the one that was at the top of the list, right? But later, we'd end up going through dozens of solitaire apps in order to find the one he always uses. This made me see how Angkong always likes to keep busy and keep his mind active at all times. Angkong also likes to spend his time watching Netflix. One movie that he really enjoys watching is Rambo, which is filled with action and adrenaline, which he is not a stranger of. Talking about that, I remember that one time in Universal Studios Japan, there was this one attraction called the Jurassic Park ride that had a sudden drop at the end. If only I could find that photo, you could see Angkong's poker face among our terrified faces at the end, which is hilarious and will make me really miss his sense of adventure and excitement. There is this quote from a series for me that captures the essence of how Angkong lived his life. Life is precious because you can't watch it again. You can believe in an afterlife if that makes you feel better, but once you realize you're not gonna be around forever, that's what makes life so magical.
Angkong was a really cool and funny guy. Many of you know I make really stupid jokes that sometimes many people, even my age, don't understand, but Angkong always got my jokes. He would always laugh with a loud ha 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 ha, even though the joke was super retarded. Angkong was also very, very chill. He never got mad at me as I was growing up. I know there were many times when I was an absolute piece of crap and he never said anything about it. I don't feel this was out of a lack of wanting to discipline me, but I feel he trusted me and trusted us to learn from our mistakes and grow from them ourselves. Angkong loved telling stories about his life, from growing up during World War II to starting a successful business with his brothers and finding Ama, the love of his life. Angkong didn't grow up with the luxuries that we have now. He had to work hard with his brothers to build something better for his family. We complain a lot now about how inconvenient it is to wear masks and cover up our face, but how much more difficult was it for him when he was growing up in a time of war? He would tell us as well about how he would meet Ama before and how it was love at first sight. He would never get far with his story though, because Ama always cut him off with a loud shh. Me and Angkong shared a lot of similar hobbies. He loved all things that grow, or that things that he could take care of. As I was growing up, I enjoyed visiting Angkong's house because I could always watch and feed the fishes in his 3 tanks. Unfortunately, Angkong's tanks were a death sentence for most fish, and they would be replaced every time I visit. A few years ago, I decided to build Angkong a new tank, and I was glad that he was able to enjoy it before he left us. He would always try to thank me for doing that for him, but I would like to tell Angkong that it's me who should be thankful for all the things he has done for me in my life and for the whole family as well. Angkong loved to travel, and throughout his life, he has been all over the world. The years we got to go around and see the world together were some of the best memories I have with Angkong. On some of the cruises we took together, there were talent nights where guests would basically do whatever they wanted to do on stage. Angkong would join and sing for everyone, with random strangers saying what a good singer he was, making him a minor celebrity in the cruise. Even just last year when I would visit Angkong, I would always tell him we should go backpacking in Europe. And he would always tell me that he was game to do so, except his wife would not allow him. Angkong dearly loved his family, especially his wife of 70 years, Ama. Growing up with them, they were inseparable, despite having totally opposite personalities. Angkong was joyful and fun, and Ama not. Angkong loved to go around and explore and see the world. Ama likes to stay at home. Angkong likes to sing, and Ama likes to nag. Despite all of this, he never wanted to be apart from Ama, and it saddens me today that they are no longer together. Angkong is a perfect example of a life well lived. He had a zest for life and he was able to enjoy it to the fullest. Angkong, I'm sure you have found peace wherever you are and that you're in a better place. I feel very blessed that you were my grandfather and we got to spend all those years together. I'm glad you were able to meet your great-granddaughter Georgie, but I'm saddened that you won't be able to meet the next one that's on the way. You will always be one of the examples that I will strive to emulate and you will be forever missed. I hope you keep watch from us from above. We love you, Angkong, and we will miss you.
我是詹永cường牧師，真多人一直燒到君願掉落，就燒到伊知要用伊嘅歌聲來阿羅主傳福音。我記得伊真愛唱一首嘅歌，叫做《一件禮物》，伊拿手拿水。今仔日伊伫天頂已經加入了正天使嘅大吟詩班，來學了伊所聽主。我相信伊的確佇遐真正快樂。自對我明白君懷兄開始，伊已經是屬務嘅條路。最年，伊甲牧師團隊同心來帶領教會牧養兄弟姊妹，伊做了真多嘅探訪。安慰、鼓勵正信徒嘅工作。伊真愛開放家庭來招待團隊人甲宣教士。每擺阮外教屬務嘅時陣，伊甲君願所有緣是真熱情嘅招待阮。君願兄佇教會、佇家庭、佇社會中留落了真美好嘅見證。伊實在是咱逐個人嘅模樣。咱今仔日佇遮少念伊，聽後有一日佇天頂，通甲伊相見，相甲來學咯主嘅恩典。
是啊，我也是非常會少念君願兄，伊嘅歌聲，伊嘅為人，真正溫順，阮真少念伊。我佇遮特別求主安慰君願所，甲你嘅全家，實在佇主嘅內邊知影，咱是有盼望嘅，咱一日的確閣再會看見君願兄。
阿們。
Taikong Valentin was a strong and passionate man who praised God and did everything he could for his family. It hurts me because I know Taikong Valentin used to be a very busy and talkative man before I was born. But when he got older, he became less talkative and had less energy. I miss you, Taikong.
When we would go visit Taikong in Dunilad, we would always see him playing poker sitting in his chair. His other hobbies would include doing chair Zumba, reading the Bible, and singing praises to God. He was very healthy, active, and energetic for an old man. Needless to say, Taikong loved music as he spent the last few days and years of his life well lived, as it was devoted to praising and worshiping God through song. We miss you and love you, Taikong.
Good evening. My name is Valentin Uy Ho, and I'm the daughter of Robin and Evelyn and the eldest grandchild. The past 3 years, Angkong was always sick prior to his birthday. Last December 2020, he was admitted for mild fungal pneumonia, but fortunately, After a 2-week stay, he was discharged from the hospital on New Year's Day of 2021. This year I thought would be no different. When Uncle Roger called me at 4 in the morning on Wednesday, January 14, he said Angkong was running a slight fever. So we admitted him immediately, and the x-ray showed very mild pneumonia, and we were advised that he could check out after 3 days. The next day, when the pneumonia panel results came out, it showed high loads of multiple drug-resistant organisms invading his lungs. At this point, he was still very alert and continued to sing and recite Bible verses. High-level antibiotics were administered immediately, and I thought these would work because he always responded to medication in the past. After 3 days of antibiotic bombardment, he was still much alert. His high level of alertness masked the severe pneumonia happening within. Whenever I visited him, he would hold my hand and call me, always by my full name, the same name he used to call me as a kid. "Hi, how are you? Erlyn Michelle Uy Uy Ho. Thank you for visiting me," he said. On the 4th day of antibiotics, he continued to require more oxygen assistance, a sign that the antibiotics were not helping him get any better. He was on high-flow oxygen on day 4. The next day, the doctor decided to move him to the ICU in case his oxygen requirements increased further and he would need to be intubated. The x-ray showed severe pneumonia caused by both bacteria and virus. On this day, he was still waving at us when we visited. On day 6, he was sleeping deeply and he would not respond when called out. The doctor decided to intubate him that morning. By 4 p.m. of the same day, he suffered a cardiac arrest and was gone. He was resuscitated for 10 minutes to no avail. He left very quickly and was not in any pain. We had spent only 6 days at the hospital. When I was growing up, I was always with my Angkong and Ama because my mom dropped me off at their house and then she went to work. They were like my babysitters. I had morning Chinese tutorial lessons with Ama, who happens to be a very strict Chinese teacher. Angkong would come home for lunch since traffic was non-existent then. It took 10 minutes to get from work to home in those days, so he always came home for lunch. We always ate together, Angkong, Ama, me, Aku Roger, Aime. Everybody was single then. When Ama would tell Angkong over lunch how some of the helpers frustrated her and gave her problems, Angkong would always say, "Ham ham lo, ina kagao in bobe lai hodi chia, ko lang u ko lang e eng hao." In English, everyone has something to contribute depending on their God-given talent. His tolerance, understanding, and acceptance for all kinds of personalities was praiseworthy. He was a gentle man. He never raised his voice. He was always patient, and he treated both achievers and non-achievers the same way because he understood people are made differently. During our afternoon naps, I would always sleep between them because they had no other bed. I was 6 years old, and there Angkong would regale me with stories about how he escaped the Japanese by hiding in the mountains of Cebu with his siblings. While in hiding, the only possession he had were the clothes he was wearing. They were wiped out when the war came. He said the war did not faze him because he only had to lean on the Lord when he did not understand. When Typhoon Odette hit Cebu, Ama said to me, Din Angkong Huang Tai Lai, Kun am Zai Po Hang, Gun Kia Kabe Siki, Ito Ikun. So I said to Angkong, Di Bo Kia Huang Tai Ba? And he said, Gua Long Kyong, Gao Tok Tu. When I was younger, I used to wonder why Angkong doesn't get worried. He doesn't get worried about anything. Is he indifferent? So I asked Angkong, why don't you ever get worried or angry ever? His reply, Gua Itse, Gao Tok Tu. In English, to the Lord I surrender control of everything. It is no wonder when you go through his library, you will see the books he reads. He has over 10 books by Norman Vincent Peale, who authored The Power of Positive Thinking. The same wisdom of, as you think, you shall be. Last Christmas, I asked Angkong if he ever wants to eat out again. And he answered, please ask Ama. Ama approves everything I do. So I asked him, Angkong, are you scared of your wife? Are you under the saya? And this is what he answered.
听无嘴，啊大富贵，
说什么呀？
惊某是大丈夫，怕某是猪狗牛。
Kasi pa.
Wala ba?
Ama ay ikaw continue lang ang kong boy kiki lo.
无阿嬷袂晓喂，
Ya pa bo ni si ti ko kau ko mu la.
惊某是大丈夫啦，怕某是猪狗牛啦，猪是马尾啦，狗是一路啦，牛是
Baka
Baka.
马甲啦。
Di si Kiabo ba?
我
Ha.
我要听某呢，
Ha.
无听某。
Di Kiabo at soy ba?
哦，听我吹有你看咱富贵。
Ah.
Angkong, I have learned so much from you. You tell me to stop working, that there is no use. And I ask you back, did you stop working? And you said, Di chok xiong lok. In English, I am content. I do not need any more. So here's one of your favorite songs that you sang on your third day of admittance in the hospital. And we dedicate this song to you and Ama. I love you, Angkong, and see you later. Bye-bye for now.
月亮代表我的心。
Go.
第一个吻已经代表心，漫漫的一段情，是我到如今，你爱我，多心，我爱你有几分？
你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？我的情真，我的爱真，月亮代表我的心。
你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？我的情不移，我的爱不变，月亮代表我的心。
轻轻的一撮吻，已经打动我的心，深深的一段情，叫我思念到如今。
你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？你去想一想，你去看一看，月亮代表我的心。 轻轻的一个吻，已经打动我的心，深深的一段情，叫我思念到如今。
你问我爱你有多深，我爱你有几分？
你去想一想，你去看 一起想一想，一起看一看，月亮代表我的心，
月亮代表我的心。